Superman and Lois bringing the heat. And that's what we're doing here at the world's finest. What do we do here at the world's finest? Nick Zenek, that's me, and Chris Evans from the Gathering of the Geeks podcast break down Superman and Lois season 2. I'm Nick Zenek, and as you can see, and joining me each and every week is Chris Evans from the Gathering of the Geeks podcast. Chris, how you doing, sir?
I am doing swell this week. How are you doing?
I'm doing super after watching this week's episode.
Superb, maybe?
Superb. I like that.
It's a new thing.
That was a bizarre transition that we used,
Oh,
Chris, but I'm gonna roll with it there.
I like where your head is at already.
right. There you go. All right, so we're the world's finest, as I reiterate. We break down Superman and Lois season 2, and that's what we're gonna do here. So we got episode 4, Chris, titled "The Inverse Method." So we got. You thought there was drama going on last week. That drama is up the ante this week. So obviously we get more substance with what's going on with Bizarro here and Superman. Got more teenage drama. The Christians get spotlight yet again. And Lois gets a very, very dark storyline to work with here, which we're actually going to talk about in a few minutes. But as always, Chris, what are your general impressions of this week's episode?
I was a little bit more mixed on this one. I really loved last week's, so I guess a come down was expected. But this was a good episode. I have some nitpicks that I know we'll get around to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. So and then quick side note is we'll touch on this at the end, but I didn't know that this was going to be the last episode before our hiatus.
I didn't either.
But
Surprise.
surprise. I thought it was a good episode. There were times where I thought it was a great episode, and then there's things where like they threw so much at you in this episode where I almost didn't have room to breathe at points because like the way the episode opens, I'm like, whoa, we are really going there, man. So yeah, obviously the Superman stuff to me works yet again. Tolek and Hecklin work yet again. And then obviously the teenage stuff to me was kind of hit or miss for me. This week we're gonna touch on that in just a few moments here, but Chris, I think let's waste no more time into it. Let's get into maybe what was the anchor of the episode to me, which was the Lois storyline. So obviously Lois finds her sister Lucy, who we find out is kind of in this cult thing right now, and Lois is trying to get her out of it. So obviously we meet the leader of the podcast that Lois is trying to take down, Allie, who is a very, very dark, menacing person, clearly by this episode. So, Chris, this episode really opens up with a bang, man. Really got diving headfirst into Lois and Lucy's relationship. So, what did you think of, this storyline going on? I mean, Tolek has gotten a lot to do in this episode for sure.
She does, and every week, Tella continues to impress me. She is my favorite Lois Lane. I feel comfortable saying that now. Of the versions I've seen, she is my favorite. And I know I haven't seen Lois and Clark. I haven't really watched a lot of it. I've seen a couple stray episodes, but it's not something I anticipate watching anytime soon. So as of right now, Tulloch is my favorite. And I think she does really great with this story because it's a very emotional story for her, and that comes through in the performance, especially in the scene later on in the episode between her and Lucy. I like that a lot. One thing I want to mention is I like that we have that connectivity to the other CW shows since they brought the Lucy from Supergirl. This is the same version.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice touch because that's beside Diggle, we have not seen any kind of connectivity. So that's cool. I like that. And the storyline itself, it's nice that she has something that is hers to do. It's not something that accompanies what Clark is doing. It's completely a Lois storyline, and I like that about it. I think that it adds a lot to the show and gives Tulloch more to chew on and just kind of, I don't know, confirm herself as the top Lois, I guess. For me, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm completely with you. So obviously, we're in complete agreement here that, Tulloch continues to be the MVP of the show. For me and for you, that's no question there. She continues to knock the material out of the park when whatever she's given. I was really, really impressed with her just for right off the bat. Like I said, too, like this episode just opens up with like that massive argument between them. and then you get Lois trying to get Lucy out of it, and you get some really really deep discussion just about like addiction and what that does to people, what that did to the person trying to help the other person, and then you get the other side's perspective, right? And then then you get the person that thinks somebody's helping them, and you got to really dive into why they think that person is helping them, when said family member thinks that the person is toxic for that
Hmm.
person, and you really get all these different kind of perspectives going on at the same time. And obviously the idea of like blind fellowship is something that we've seen before, right? Where it's just this person is kind of just throwing all these ideas in their head, and taking advantage of vulnerability. That's
Hmm.
something that we've seen 100 times before. And kind of one thing that I want to touch on right now, Chris, because I know you might agree with this too, is that clearly this show establishes that they're veterans at their stage, right? This is Lois and Clark that have been around the block a few years here. So I really like that at the end of the episode, they're like at these different points in their life where they don't know how to help each other,
Hmm.
other than you're gonna get through this, right? Or stay on the ground, you got this. Because Clark, obviously, we'll talk about what happens with Clark in a little bit here, but I like that it's they don't know how to help each other, but they know how to be there for each other. I don't know if
I,
you felt that same way.
actually, I didn't think of that, but that's a good point.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. I didn't think of that, but you're right. That is kind of where they stand at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So, yeah, and and you notice it too. Like Clark's taking a back seat with that storyline, right? Like he's not out there
Yeah.
with Lois trying to help Lucy, right? I mean, obviously he's got his own thing going on, but it's
Something like that. I mean, he's got some
yeah,
problems. He doesn't have time to deal with
he's,
Allie.
he's got a little something going on.
He can't deal with
Um,
Allie.
yeah. So obviously, this is a Lois storyline, which is great. So kudos to that. And obviously, with the ending with that, obviously, Chrissy, Lois's partner, with the Gazette, we were led to believe that
Yeah.
either she's either gonna flip the script on him and kind of go undercover here, or she's been manipulated and she's gonna take a darker turn. I don't know what to believe with that one yet, Chris.
I think it's a fake out.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's gonna. This is where Chrissy becomes an actual journalist instead of just, oh, she's that small town Gazette girl.
Yep.
She's gonna be something. This is her time to shine. If that is what it is, I'm very excited to see it. If that's not what it is, I'm still excited
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like she's one of those characters that has not had anything to do in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
We see
Yeah.
her here and there following Lois, and that's really it. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
they
so
they
let's
yeah
let's give her something to do.
made her a full time cast member too, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta
So
give her something to do.
you
Yeah.
gotta use her. And I really like the Allie character. I know we're not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to like her. And I don't mean, it's just the way she is menacing,
Mm-hmm.
but not like um not like a clear villain in a way. I don't know how to explain that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean like you like to hate her, but you
Yeah,
like that you hate her almost, right? Yeah.
right. She's
Yeah.
not the Joker, but she
Mm-hmm.
is clearly a villain and very menacing. And I
Right.
like the way they're handling that.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's very careful with the way she speaks and her. Yeah, I just think it's cool. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So obviously, like I said, our everybody's favorite H word hiatus. We'll see
Mm.
in a few weeks.
I don't know whose
Uh,
favorite word that is.
I don't know who's it's nobody's favorite.
CW's.
It should be nobody's favorite word. Yeah,
I think
CW's favorite word.
CW loves hiatuses. Thanks,
Um,
Olympics.
yeah, thanks Olympics. So obviously, let's get on to some of the more nitty gritty stuff here, which was Chris. I mentioned there's a lot of teen drama going around here. We're
Mhm.
4 episodes in, and the teen drama continues to elevate each and every week here. So, one thing that I want to lightly address here is Jordan, who we found out is in a nice relationship with Sarah now. Uh, that's what we'll leave that for now.
Yeah.
And he uses his powers carelessly, kind of in this shop here, which for good reason. His intentions were pure,
Hmm.
but his storyline is that he unwillingly, or I guess unknowingly, uses his powers, and he finds out that he was recorded doing that, so he calls everybody's favorite Uncle Sam, Sam Lane here. It's
Grandpa
kind of
Sam.
Grandpa Sam, but he felt like Uncle Sam to me in this week's episode.
Fair, fair.
Getting him out of trouble
There's only
here.
one uncle. It's Uncle Morbid.
That's true. That's true. Um, So obviously, General Sam Lane kind of gets him out of trouble here, Chris. So that's Jordan's storyline, and then we get a little tease at the end that now he kind of wants to take that next step, I guess, into
Mhm.
trying to help his dad out more with stuff. Maybe training to be a DoD insider or something like that. Something like that.
Some crap like that.
Yeah. But Chris, what did you think of Jordan's storyline here?
I don't like it.
Nice.
I don't like it. I okay. So yes, his intentions were good, but what world do we live in where there's not a camera in a convenience store? Like, even if the camera wasn't staring him in the face, which was amazingly convenient and common in the real world, but like, didn't do they have no common sense? I guess I know it's a TV show. I'm not going to beat them up about it, but it was just an odd thing to do. And then, like, I really liked that he did get caught. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, how do you
Hmm.
deal with that? And then it was literally taken care of within seconds on a phone call.
Yeah. Which kind of like, I'm like,
What kind of Doctor Strange bullshit happened?
yeah. I'm like, so wait. So you're like literally talking to him, and you're like, oh wait, no, I've already solved it. Like, I just like, what do you mean you're talking to him? Like, like right there. How
You're in
could you have solved
Smallville,
it?
Kansas. He's God knows where, and they Scooby Dooed that shit. Come on.
Oh man.
So I didn't like the fix. I thought, yeah, they lacked common sense doing it, but I did think it was cool.
Hmm.
Not everything needs to make sense. Fine, but
Yeah.
that was, come on. Why?
Yeah.
There's no consequence. And then at the end, like, you are a half Kryptonian gentleman looking for that one ring, and you go to your grandfather who is just a human and say, hey, you human, me Kryptonian, train me. When your father is a Kryptonian, your uncle is a Kryptonian. Even Steele has more Kryptonian experience than Sam Lane does.
Yep.
Like, you can have hey, Steele, buddy, you live in my barn in a RV. Can you teach me a thing or two? Like, what is Sam Lane gonna teach him? Okay, boy, fly. Do you know how to fly? No. So that's my rant. I don't like it.
There you go. There you go. We'll see. We'll see what they do with that one. But let's get on the flip side. Let's go over to his brother Jonathan here, who
Mhm.
we find out his girlfriend is kind of selling some kryptonite enhanced drugs in the town of Smallville here, Chris. So,
And she's not Tegan.
and she's not Tegan. No, no, we established that. So makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does.
So obviously, we ended last week's episode. Well, not really ended, but we ended Jonathan's, thing last week with him asking to have some of that sort of enhancement stuff, in which he takes in this week's episode during a football practice, and that's his story. Is that now he's on some enhanced X kryptonite himself now, Chris,
Yeah.
which is probably good for the character to have something to do. But what'd you think of this?
I don't know if I'm into Smallville euphoria right now. I get what they're doing. I think it's kind of cool, but something about it, I feel like we know where this is headed in a way. Like, this is going to become some kind of addiction storyline,
Yep.
but not on the drug part of it, just the power thing, and
Hmm.
maybe set up a, well, why don't I have powers? Now I see what you guys have. Why don't I have this?
Right.
And I don't know how that's going to work.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
hate it or
yeah,
anything. I just want to see where it's going.
yeah. Like, I mean, like, do you think this is a way for them to just shoehorn Jonathan into getting powers somehow, or do you think it's still gonna happen organically? Like, what do you think?
This could kickstart his power.
Yeah.
Because I just can't imagine he goes through the whole show without any kind of powers.
Right.
Especially he's the one named Jonathan. I don't see how they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I could be completely off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, we'll see too. So, I mean, kudos. Obviously, you got to give that kid something to do, because I feel like he really gets nothing to do
All he does
most
is
of the
get
time.
injured. He just
Yeah.
keeps getting injured.
Yeah. So I'm all for it too. Obviously, once Clark kind of settles his own things here, I'm sure
Mhm.
he'll maybe take a more step forward in the whatever this is, because that Clark dealing with his son's issues. Let's be honest, they're 15, they're gonna have issues. That's stuff
Mhm.
that really hooks me. So I'm
Yeah. And I like both
Yeah,
of the boys, and I think
yeah,
Jonathan's a good character. Just he doesn't get a lot to do.
right.
He
Yeah.
kind of comes off a lot of times as kind of the more thoughtful brother in a way, like everything's gonna be fine, little bro. We're cool.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I like to see him get into do a little bit more and maybe get into some trouble himself,
Yeah.
which I think he did last season too, but it was really contained.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. So, all right, Chris. We talk about the second family of Smallville a lot every week, and you know who I'm talking about, the Cushings here.
Oh, my favorite.
Don't mess. Don't mix. Excuse me. Don't ever mix politics with pleasure, Chris, which is the theme with the Cushings this week. But Chris, what is going on with the Cushings here? What is going on with our guy Kyle? Got some stuff going on here.
Too many ribs, too much
Too
sauce.
many ribs, man. Ooh. Um. So obviously, yeah. So obviously, Lana's running for mayor here, and they're kind of going in the tropey stuff of when someone runs for mayor, someone digging into the past. So obviously, we get some tensions running high here within the Cushing family, and then people obviously looking to exploit them. So this kind of sends Kyle down through a little rabbit hole here. He goes to a bar, kind of orders a drink, but we don't see him actually drink it. But we instead get inferred that
He,
he might have, or did he drink it?
he no, he didn't, and he didn't order. I think what
What
happened, they just saw him,
yeah,
and she
the
knew. Oh,
bartender
okay,
gave it to him.
he this is
Yeah,
his regular. I think that's what it was.
yeah. And obviously, the lady that gave him the drink, we're kind of inferring that there might be some history there,
Hmm.
Chris. So they're obviously they're going down this hole here, with the cussing. So how does this storyline make you feel? Do you think it's needed?
No, no. I think that it's odd because in the first season we were taught not to like Kyle for the majority of that season. We were taught Kyle is a bad guy. Maybe he has a heart of gold. Who knows? But he's not friendly. He has some anger issues and whatnot. And then this season, he has been the advice guy for some reason, and he's been a good guy. And now they want us to dislike him again, I think. And I don't understand the mentality here. Are we supposed to like him or not like him?
Yeah, that's kind of where my head is at too, Chris. So obviously, the whole line of running for mayor thing, I'm actually cool with. I think
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Just because when the character of Lana, I think that's cool too with that
Mhm.
aspect. And obviously, you know, I think with Kyle too, I gotta completely agree with you on that one. Like you really don't like Kyle in season one. I mean, hey, he has his fans. I mean, for sure, whether or not you did like him anyway in season one, great actor. But just the character, you weren't really supposed to like. And then they do a really 180 of a pivot with him, where you're kind of starting to like him, and then you kind of send him down this kind of rabbit hole, and now you're like, so we're gonna unlike him again. And I'm wondering if they're gonna do this thing where like they want to go back and forth. This thing like they want to give him something really deep and dark to do, only to maybe have him be some sort of casualty of some sort. I don't know. Like like it seems like that's the kind of route they're doing, where they really want to break him down, so much to the point where like he gets this redemption arc at the end, and I
But
don't know if maybe something happens to him or he takes a fall for something. I don't know.
but does Kyle need to be that important? We have so many other moving parts of this series. Does
Hmm.
Kyle need to be this? I mean, it's not like they made it the headline of the episode or anything. There's plenty of other things going on. But
Mm,
did we need this storyline with him?
mm.
And I mean, we still don't know anything yet because it's all suggestive.
Right. Yeah.
But the point still stands. Do you want us? Or the question: do you want us to
Hmm.
like Kyle or not?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely the main takeaway too. Is that there's so like it is very left very ambiguous.
Mhm.
Like maybe he helped her out financially or something. Maybe it's not.
Mhm. I don't know
Maybe
if that's what it was.
I don't know what I'm just saying too. I'm just spitballing here. Like maybe it isn't what the obvious is, but
Yeah.
maybe it is. But yeah. So that kind of remains to be seen too. Who knows what they're gonna do with that. But obviously, again, they're main characters of the show, so you got to give them something to do. Whether or not it works or not,
Well,
we'll
yeah,
get
but
them when we get there.
I don't know about you, but I was kind of liking the advice guy Kyle. It was different, and I kind of was like, "Oh, okay, this is." So now that he's sober and he's not a jerk anymore, he's a good dude with some valuable advice. Cool.
Hmm. Yeah. Which gotta be finding that rib recipe. Come on, come on. I'm very disappointed, Chris. 4 episodes in and no ribs yet.
Well, no, because he's busy dealing with other stuff now, I
Uh,
guess. And maybe that's the season finale. You remember, like in the Falcon the Winter Soldier, we had the big cookout at the end with the cool song?
the
Maybe that's the finale for season two. A big
ribs are
like
so good
barbecue.
they only make it in one episode.
Because everybody keeps asking about them. Because they know as soon as they show the ribs, nobody's going to care about Bizarro or Doomsday or Clark's headaches. We don't care. What sauce are you using, Kyle?
Wow, we're speaking of headaches here. Speaking of
Uh-oh.
Bizarro and Doomsday here, Chris.
That was even a planned transition.
That wasn't even a planned transition, but we're gonna roll with it 100% here. It's obviously the big reveal as we've been talking about is Bizarro. So we get not one but two fights, two action sequences involving Bizarro and Superman. So obviously the first one takes place at the barn in a very intense sequence where you get like Bizarro and Superman kind of struggling in this interchange of Bizarro using some kind of I don't even amulet or whatever he was trying to get some of his energy of some sort, like
Mhm.
maybe getting some of his power, or maybe he was trying to get some of his memories. Uh, I don't know who knows what's going on with that one, but Chris, thoughts on the first fight between Bizarro and Superman?
First night was cool. I like how it was kind of a slaughter until John Henry Iron steps in. That was cool.
Yep.
I think the amulet is supposed to take whatever makes Clark normal and put it into Bizarro.
Hmm.
I think that's what it is. That's my theory.
Yeah, that's. I was either thinking like he was trying to steal his memories or he was trying to steal his energy of some sort. But
Yeah,
maybe it was both. I don't know.
yeah. I think either of those would possibly make him less bizarre.
Yeah,
Just, hey, I'm a
yeah.
clone type thing, or maybe they switch places. Like now you're Bizarro and I'm normal Clark.
That's what I actually thought too, Chris. Because like in network television, of course, we have to blame for this, right? It's like the way it kind of that scene ends, where it's like John Henry asks Clark like, "Are you okay?" And he
Yeah,
kind of just
no
doesn't say
response.
anything. Like he like so. It ended up being that everything was fine for just whatever reason. He just decided to cut that scene or
Yeah,
whatever the way they did, which was
as far as
annoying.
we know.
Yeah. So obviously, so then let's move on to kind of fight number two, which was the big action sequence of the episode, which was Superman and Bizarro fighting at like the Arctic here,
Mhm.
where we get the Supermen of America, the army that the government here is building, and they were going to try to take out Bizarro for some reason themselves,
Like you
which
do.
like you do, which is what it is. And then Superman kind of races to the rescue here along with John Henry, and we find out that John Henry gets defeated, Chris, and now he's kind of in this coma area where Superman kind of fails to not only defeat the threat in time, but John Henry's kind of a casualty here. So, Chris, thoughts on this action sequence and John Henry's fate here that we find out at the end of the episode?
So, first, what struck me about this one is Bizarro kills those kids, like
Yeah.
murders them, snaps their neck, they're done. That was something special because this is a CW show where they just murdered children. That's crazy.
Yep.
Um, and the way that it was done was kind of graphic. Like I wasn't expecting that, and it
Yeah.
also shows Clark was right. That's the biggest takeaway from that. Clark was right,
Yep.
and Anderson did not listen. So now I automatically want to know, well, what is Anderson's response to? He didn't listen.
Mm-hmm.
You did not listen to the actual Kryptonian who's telling you, don't do this. So that was really cool. I like that a lot. The fight itself was great. I think the CGI was a little wonky because that background did not look good.
Yeah.
That looked like I filmed it in my backyard. No offense, by the way,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
it didn't look too good. But the fight itself was awesome. I liked how brutal it was, and Superman just kind of let go. Then John Henry Irons doing his best to help, and his best cost him.
Yep.
But it's like I told you off air. I think this is just to get him to a proper steel suit.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, I'm with I definitely felt the intensity like the action sequence. I dig that they were like mano a mano, like they were. It was a pretty even fight. Granted, Bizarro, they might have made a little over strong, right? Like they made Bizarro look maybe a little bit stronger than
Yeah.
Superman was, but yeah, that I thought the fight itself was pretty cool.
Hmm.
I dig the fact that there's stakes involved, which was John Henry, was a casualty essentially of trying to help Superman, which we kind of anticipated either somebody close to Superman was gonna fall, right? Whether or not it was Superman himself or somebody that he knew. So I think that it was unfortunate that it was John Henry Irons that kind of, is in a coma, due to trying to help Superman, and it's kind of now Superman kind of has to deal with that guilt of that he again wasn't fast enough, wasn't in time to save, Steel, John Henry Irons. So and then that scene, man, Chris, we were talking a little bit off, and I've been talking with people about this too, is that, anytime that you put Superman in a certain situation, a moment in time, and Superman rushes John Henry to the hospital, and then, Lois tells Natalie, and then they're at the hospital.
Hmm.
And Natalie's understandably really mad at Superman. She's like, "You're Superman. You should have protected him, right?"
I
And
love
like the
that line.
way she just delivered that line, like that got me. Like that was
That was
pretty
so good.
emotional.
That
Yeah,
was
that was
good.
a great moment. He just like, and he knows, right? He knows, like, I like, why couldn't I defeat him? Like, who
Hmm.
is this guy? Like, I love it. The mystery is still so ambiguous. So
And another thing, the amulet is gone now. It's going into the government's hands.
yep,
Tag has it, and
yep,
Superman's not going to get it back. I'm sure, or I'm guessing. I'm guessing he won't get it
hmm,
back.
yeah. So
And without the amulet, the fight went a little bit differently than it did at the farm. Because
hmm,
at the farm, and even when Superman flies in, that amulet starts going off.
yeah,
It goes off, and so then when it comes off of him, they're just having a regular fight.
yep,
That's also an interesting aspect of it. The
hmm,
amulet has something to do with both of them. And,
hmm,
that episode where he appeared and was called "The Ties That Bind."
yep,
So I wonder if that was a little hint of something.
hmm, yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall, this is kind of where we're at, Chris. So like we said, obviously we have a hiatus, so I think
Mhm.
we're on a 3-4 week break here. I think
3, yeah.
February 22nd is when the show
Mhm.
comes back. So again, I didn't know that there was a hiatus after this episode. I think you didn't as well, Chris. So I don't know if this was intentional to leave things the way they were, especially after 4 episodes, which kind of is a weird placement.
It is.
But I like where things are at. Obviously, it gives me a reason for want to tune back in 3 weeks here. But for sure, we're doing things here. So I'm curious, how this Bizarro thing is going to kind of turn out. I'm curious if how long John Henry Irons is going to be in this coma, if longer than an episode. And I'm eager to see where this teenage stuff goes, and obviously the Lois and Lucy storyline, I imagine is going to be the kind of second big storyline that's going on throughout the season. So a lot of cool things, are going to play out here in the next couple episodes. So just gotta wait. We just gotta wait a little bit for it.
Yeah, there's plenty to chew on in this season so far. I mean, it's 4 episodes, and really, I think Thomas. Not a lot has been happening overall,
Yep.
but the stuff that has happened, they're mostly meaningful things.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't like it, Jordan wanting to get trained by Sam Lane is significant. That's something.
Yep.
The Bizarro stuff, I'm really liking that a lot. I think that was the best surprise we could have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it just being Doomsday.
Yeah.
It's moving along pretty well for these first 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with it overall. I think we got some good stuff.
Yeah. Likewise here. So obviously, hopefully, when the series comes back, it doesn't lose its momentum, and hopefully, it kind of just keeps its pedal on the metal. Because I think that's what we're mainly hoping here for.
Yeah, I don't want to like last season was we both enjoyed it quite a bit, but those last episodes just trailed off.
Yeah.
I hope we don't get that again, and I don't think we will. But I
Yep.
would like to know what the episode count is here. That would help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because again, weird placement after 4. Maybe it's 13, maybe it's 15, or
Right.
maybe it's 10. I don't know. None of us really know.
And also, if not for the Olympics, would it still be going, or would it still be on the hiatus? That's also what I'm curious about.
Yeah, for sure. for sure. Just because of the placement, exactly. The
Hmm.
placement of why now? Why not after episode 5? Or
Right.
6?
Because it's not like this is a huge cliffhanger. We all know John will survive.
Right. I hope so.
Yeah,
We
we
hope
know.
so.
Yeah, we know Steele is not going anywhere.
hmm
So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Remains to be seen. So obviously, of course, we're gonna miss this show for a few weeks. Thankfully, like we said, it's not a long hiatus.
Mhm.
3 weeks will fly by here before we know it, and we'll be back obviously to break down episode 5. So, but Chris, I think that's probably a great way to put a pin in this week's episode. So give me your closing thoughts and plug where people can find you, Chris.
Closing thoughts. Like I said, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's not a bad episode. I just had some nitpicks, mostly with the teenage stuff, Smallville Euphoria, and then the weird, let's fix it while we're on the phone kind of thing. Like you had a cool opportunity there and you kind of wasted it. You blew it. But other than that, solid episode. Love the cult stuff, which is weird to say. Love the Bizarro stuff. It's a good episode overall. I'm happy with it. And as for plugs, you can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70, but I would prefer you follow us over at G of the Geeks. That's our YouTube podcast. It's a live show we do every Sunday. It's with my buddy Emmett Davis. Follow us over there and check it out.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Please go and do that. So yeah, my closing thoughts are: I thought it was a solid episode. Another episode of Superman television, which is great. I'm gonna miss the show while it's on its hiatus, but
Yeah.
I'm excited for it to come back, and I'm excited to dive into these storylines again. So I'm very satisfied through 4 episodes.
Mhm.
For sure with what we've gotten. So hopefully the momentum is kept when it comes back, and I'm eager to see more good Superman content. So that's my closing thoughts. As far as ways you guys can find me, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Nick Zenick. And most importantly, please go follow the show that I co host at Vigilante1939. Find us wherever else you get your podcasts at. And because this is on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And most importantly, if you like what you saw, and what you heard, give us a thumbs up. And then most importantly, drop a comment down below what you thought, because the more likes and comments that are on the video, obviously the more that it pops up on YouTube. I think that's the best way to kind of describe that algorithm. So please, that's much appreciated. And obviously, like Chris said, go subscribe to the Gathering of the Geeks YouTube channel as well, and they're on also audio form. So go follow that as well. And that's probably going to be this week's episode of The World's Finest. So we'll be back in a few weeks here. But you got time to catch up on all the other episodes that we've done. So yay. So
Bonus.
bonus. There you go. So we're not gone, but Superman and Lois is for a few weeks. But that's gonna about do it for this week's episode. So for Chris Evans, my name's Exanic, and as Michael Keaton's Batman always says, I want you to tell all your friends about me.